Okay, we are on the verge of a revolution. And I'm not talking about computers or space travel, I'm talking about life itself. Today, we're going to dive into a breakthrough that is fundamentally changing how we think about and how we create living things.
So here's the headline, and it is a big one. AI has just designed a brand new living virus completely from scratch. For the first time ever, scientists used a generative AI to write the entire genetic code for a virus that has never existed in nature. And then they actually built it in a lab, and guess what? It's alive.
Right, so this raises two massive questions, doesn't it? First, how is this even possible? And maybe more importantly, why would anyone want to do this? Well, that why is actually the key, because the answer could completely revolutionize our fight against one of the biggest threats we face in modern medicine. Okay, so to really get why designing a new virus could be such a game changer, we have to start with a crisis that is, right now, quietly unfolding in hospitals all around the world.
For decades, antibiotics have been our miracle drugs, right? But here's the problem. Bacteria are smart. They're evolving, developing resistance way faster than we can invent new medicines. We are literally staring down the barrel of a post-antibiotic era, where something as simple as a scraped knee could once again become a death sentence. We desperately need a new weapon in this fight.
And that new weapon, it might just be an old enemy. Let me introduce you to the bacteriophage, or phage for short. Now, these are naturally occurring viruses, but they have just one job, to hunt and kill bacteria. Think of them like nature's own smart missiles, programmed for a super specific target. This makes them a perfect potential alternative to antibiotics. The only problem? Finding the exact right natural phage for every single infection is incredibly hard. But what if we didn't have to find them? What if we could just design them?
So the key to designing these amazing little bacteria killers, well, it lies in a totally different field: artificial intelligence. We're talking about an AI that has learned to speak the language of life itself, DNA. Okay, this is probably the best way to wrap your head around this tech. You've almost certainly heard of models like ChatGPT, right? It learns from all the text on the internet so it can predict the next word in a sentence. Well, the AI we're talking about here, which is called Evo, does the exact same thing, but instead of learning English, it learned the language of genetics. It predicts the next letter in a DNA sequence. And the sheer scale of its education is, well, it's just staggering. This AI was trained on a massive data set of over 2 million different phage genomes. Think about that. By crunching all that data, it didn't just memorize a bunch of sequences. No, it learned the deep, complex rules of life, how a genome is built, how genes talk to each other, and what it actually takes to make a virus that works.
All right, so you've got an AI that speaks DNA. How do you actually use that to create a new life form from scratch? Well, it turns out the process is surprisingly elegant and really, really methodical.
So here's how they did it, step by step. First, they gave the AI a starting point, a template, a well-known phage called Phi X174. Then they really focused its training, fine-tuning it on thousands of its viral relatives. With all that new knowledge packed in, they basically just hit generate, and the AI spit out hundreds of thousands of new genomes. Now, here's the most important part: filtering. They applied super strict rules to weed out anything that was broken or unsafe. Finally, they took the best of the best, physically built the DNA, and brought them to life in the lab to see what would happen. And one of the most critical safety checks was for something called host tropism. It sounds complicated, but it's really just a fancy way of asking, who does this virus infect? The scientists were super careful here. They specifically told the AI to only design viruses that could attack a totally harmless lab strain of E. coli. This was key to making sure the AI's creativity was aimed at a safe, controllable target. And you can see just how powerful this whole filtering process is right here. Look at this. The AI generated a massive pool of over 300,000 potential viruses. From that enormous number, all that computational filtering narrowed it down to just 285 candidates worth building. And from that small group, they discovered 16 totally new, fully functional living viruses. It's an absolutely incredible funnel from possibility to reality. But this is where the story gets really interesting. It's where it goes from just a successful experiment to something truly groundbreaking. Because the AI didn't just make viruses that worked. In some cases, it made viruses that were actually better than what nature itself came up with.
So let's just pause on this number for a second. 16.
That's 16 entirely new viruses designed by an AI that have never, ever existed on planet Earth before. Each and every one is living proof that we've entered a whole new era of synthetic biology.
And get this quote from the actual research paper it's profound. It basically says that one of the AI's creations was so unique, its genetic code was as different from its closest natural cousin as two completely separate species of virus would be. So we're not talking about a small tweak here. This is a genuine, massive leap into a whole new part of the evolutionary map. But okay, being new is one thing. How do these AI creations actually perform against the original from nature? Well, the researchers set up a head-to-head competition to find out, and the results were just mind-blowing. The natural virus, its population grew by about 4 times. But the top AI-designed phage, its population absolutely exploded, growing by up to 65 times. It didn't just compete, it utterly dominated.
And that star player, Phi 69, wasn't just a lucky fluke. Nope. Several of the other AI phages also turned out to be more potent killers. They wiped out the target bacteria way faster and more effectively than the natural virus they were based on. It shows the AI was consistently finding clever ways to optimize for better performance.
So all of this leads to the ultimate question, right? What can we actually do with this incredible new power? Well, the most immediate and maybe the most important application takes us right back to the problem we started with: antibiotic resistance. And this is where it all comes together. The final boss battle, if you will. The scientists set up a real-world challenge. They created strains of E. coli that were completely resistant to that original natural virus. And just as you'd expect, when they threw the original virus at it, nothing happened. It failed completely. But then, they unleashed a cocktail of their 16 AI-designed phages. And the result? The AI cocktail smashed through the resistance. It worked on all 3 resistant strains, every single time.
What this gives us is a blueprint for the future of medicine. We can now, for the first time, rapidly design these powerful, diverse cocktails of viruses that can stay one step ahead of bacteria. So when a pathogen evolves to resist one treatment, we can hit it with a brand new AI-designed solution. We can effectively out-evolve the very diseases that threaten us. So, we end right back where we started, but with a whole new perspective. We have just witnessed the birth of a technology that allows us to literally write the code for life. And designing viruses? That's just the beginning. This opens up so many huge, fascinating, and kind of scary questions. If we can design a virus today, what else can we design tomorrow? And as this incredible power grows, who gets to be the architect? Who will write the next chapter in the code of life? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me.